Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to rekindle your passion for music making. I'm Jennifer Roig-Francolí, and if we haven't met yet, I'm the creator of The Art of Freedom for Musicians. I'm a holistic coach for musicians of all skill levels, from beginner to elite professional. And I'm also a certified Alexander technique teacher. So I have quite a lot of experience with burnout. And I'm doing this video actually in response to a question from one of my students that I received in an email yesterday. She's having trouble really getting in touch with why she's a musician. And I had to laugh when I got the email because this is something that I have been exploring and, truth be told, struggling with for literally decades. So I have really learned quite a lot about the topic, and it's one of the main things that I teach in my private coaching sessions and in my online classes. How to really get in touch with your deepest purpose, with your heart and soul and all of who you are. And I do believe that that is essential, absolutely essential, to make truly great music. So I've come up with 5 tips. They're not even tips, they're like essential keys. Tips is too small. These are essential keys for reconnecting with your deep, heartfelt purpose for being a musician. Again, whether you just started playing your instrument yesterday or you've been wanting to be a musician since you were 2, like me, and you're a professional at a high level. Doesn't matter what your skill level is, the process is always the same, the process of artistic mastery. And the key, if I were to give you one key only, one overarching key, the key to artistic mastery is self-mastery. I'm going to be talking a lot about this concept in my future videos as I'm developing this idea in my own life, and I'm in the process of writing a book on the topic, which is really fun and exciting. But I'm about to, for today, I'm just going to dive into this one question, which is a small part of the book, actually. It's about how to rekindle your passion, how to connect with your why. So right before I dive in and give you those 5 keys, I'd like to say hello to everybody who's coming on. I see some familiar names popping up. My fans, I'm so happy to see you here. Kay and Barb and Angel, you're just wonderful, supportive presences in my life. Thank you for being here. And if you are watching the replay or you've just come on, please just say hello in the comments, and I would love to get your feedback as I'm talking in the video. Anything that comes to mind, just throw it out there, especially if you have an experience you'd like to share or a question for me. I will absolutely check before I leave to see if there are any questions that come up, and I'll do my best to answer. And if you're watching the replay, your comments are just as important, and I will see them. You might want to tag me just to make sure if it happens to be weeks or months later. Okay, so diving into the topic. Again, this is like my, my big own personal journey. It's been really very challenging for me to rekindle my passion for music, and I've suffered a lot over it over many, many years because my muse called me when I was 2, literally. I wanted a violin badly, apparently. I don't remember, but my parents tell me I really wanted it when I was 2. I got one when I was 4, and I've never stopped playing the violin. Although I've gone for months at a time without touching it. That doesn't really count because I was still playing the violin. I haven't stopped performing, but I went through a very long dry period from literally age 19 to, there isn't really a specific year where it came back because I've been working hard at figuring out why it was so hard for me to get back to it since maybe 2003. And so I have to say that I feel like I have found my way back, and I am back on track with my childhood dreams, and it makes me so incredibly happy. I have so much more energy in my life because I've unlocked that purpose for myself. So I want to just give you these 5 steps that I have found have worked for me to bring me back to my original musical journey. They are, drum roll please. Number 1, inner quiet. If you really want to access your deepest purpose, and you don't really know the deepest layers of why you want to make music, or why you are a musician, or why, in my case for a long time, it was like, why am I not making music? I just didn't get it, but I couldn't make myself do it. No matter what mental gymnastics I indulged in or forced myself into, I couldn't make myself stick with practicing for more than a couple weeks at a time. And then I'd go back to not practicing unless I had a performance coming up, which I always did, of course. And I maintained my skill level that way, but my heart just wasn't really in it in the same way that it was as a kid, as a teenager, and as I'm happy to say, it is now. So inner quiet. That means, first of all, recognizing that there is a lot of mental chatter and muscle liveliness, stimulation, muscular contraction, tension, nervous energy. All those things can add up to kind of a noisy background in your system. So first of all, you need to know that that's there, and it's there pretty much in everybody to some degree or another, unless you're a Buddhist monk or someone who's practiced meditation for their whole life, right? Which I'm not, although I have practiced meditation for most of my life. And that's part of the key for me, is to have a practice that allows you to quiet your mind and your body, and that is key. Most of the meditation practices and contemplative practices that I've come across have not, in my opinion, adequately addressed the mind-body connection, and haven't really addressed the problem of especially modern life, where the body can really get in the way of stillness in your mind and in your heart. So that kind of needs to be part of your centering process. I became an Alexander Technique teacher years ago. I started learning the Alexander Technique in 2003, and it absolutely transformed my life on every level. I had already had a deep spiritual meditative practice before that, but Alexander Technique linked up the different aspects of myself in a way that I had never been able to do before, even though I knew that was necessary. So it gave me specific tools and skills that I had been missing for my whole life, that finally brought all the pieces together, or allowed me to start bringing the pieces together. It is not a quick fix, even though it can be really miraculous, and it was in my case. So get quiet, inner quiet. Find a way to do that, whether it's through the cycle, which is the Alexander etude that I teach my students in the beginning all the time, or whether it's some other sort of practice that you have to center yourself. And by the way, I teach the cycle for free. I have a 5-day practice challenge that you can sign up for. I'm actually just going to type that into the comments. There's a link I have if anybody wants to sign up for that 5-day best warm-up challenge with the cycle. You can learn how to do it there. Okay? All right, so moving on. Number 2. Here's what I call open asking. All right, once you've quieted yourself, and by the way, this is not about perfect quiet, okay? There's no such thing. We are thinking beings, thoughts are going to come, tension is going to be there, But ease is always there too, and silence is always there in music. There are always rests, and there's always a blank page before you put the notes on it. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfect stillness or quiet. It's just a process. You're quietening yourself. You're quieting your system. You're centering your system. It's a process. It's not a state or a place to, achieve. There's no goal here. So once you're practicing that inner quieting, you can start asking. Ask for what you want. And if you don't know what you want, which was my case for a really long time, caused a lot of suffering, then be open to asking yourself, your inner wisdom, your inner teacher, your inner guide, your true self, whatever you want to call the essence of your heart. Ask yourself, or if you want to think of God or the universe outside of you or spirit, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do, whatever way you want to do this, you need to ask the question. You need to be clear about wanting to know what you want. If you want to know why you're practicing, why you're a musician, why you should keep practicing or not, ask. And make your question clear and simple and direct. And here's the trick that we keep forgetting. You need to be able to ask openly, which means you don't require a result. You don't require an answer to the question right away. You've got to put the question out there or in there to yourself, but then you have to let go and allow the question or the answer to the question to rise up to your consciousness in its own good time, and you cannot force that, right? The answer will come, but you can't force the timing of it. And again, in my case, I got layers of answers to my questions instantly, and daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, but I always knew I hadn't really gotten to the root, the real deep answer to my question, which I had a breakthrough about a month ago, which was incredible. And I don't know if it's probably not the deepest answer to my question still, but boy, did it release so many blockages of decades. It was incredible. Could go on and on about that. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. I would love to, as I'm talking about this, I'm just going to pause for a moment and see some comments are coming in. Angel agreed with me about what I said before. Yes, other practices can address quietening the mind, but not really the body. There are body work practices that help quietening the body and releasing blockages and tensions, and they're wonderful things, but those don't usually incorporate your thinking, and the thinking practices don't incorporate the body. So there's still this mind-body split that just gets us tripped up. So I agree with you, Angel. And Barb says, inner quiet has always been an issue for me. Yes, it's really something to cultivate, but don't be hard on yourself if this is difficult. It's difficult for most people. It's a practice. Again, it's a lifelong practice. And learning how to take tiny little steps and first of all, just notice the chatter and allow yourself to have it and not fight it. That's my step one advice for cultivating inner quiet. Just notice that it's not quiet and see if you can allow that to be there without judging yourself or criticizing yourself. Because self-judgment, self-criticism just leads to more chatter and pain. Okay, so hey, Robin, welcome. Glad you're here. That's great. And Sid, hello, Sid. Lovely to have you here. Okay, moving on. Number 3, this is the third key to rekindling your passion for music making. By the way, this goes for a passion for really anything that you want to do in life, especially if you're an artist, but really for anybody. But we're just applying it to music today because that's my main thing. Number 3, reconnect to your muse. Okay, what do I mean by muse? I'm not going to go into much about what I mean about Muse. In fact, this idea of a muse or artistic genius is kind of a new idea that I've been playing around with. So I'm not going to get too much into this right now, but what I mean today is you've got to reconnect to your original passion. So if you're a musician, if you can journal or just sit in quiet and ask yourself what originally sparked your curiosity about music, about your particular instrument. Maybe there was a relationship, a positive relationship that was involved in music making for you in the beginning. What were the things that got you excited and enthusiastic about music in the beginning? Now, this is something to keep coming back to. Again, it's not something you're going to discover overnight unless you're one of the lucky few. This is not a problem that's going to go away. I'm talking about burnout problem or not being connected with your purpose. It's not a problem that is likely to be solved from today to tomorrow. But if you continue to wonder about the origins, you are likely to keep getting new insights over time. The breakthrough that I had that I was referring to a bit ago, that I had about a month ago, involved my remembering an early childhood desire that I had really shut out of my life for decades because I thought that it was wrong, that I'll just tell you, okay, I'm going to be super honest and transparent and make myself vulnerable. And it's really hard to do this in public, but I think it's important. When I was a kid, I was very good. I was a very good violinist. I loved it. It came easily for me. I had great teachers and supportive parents. I had an ideal in many ways. You know, it wasn't perfect by any means, but I had in many ways an ideal upbringing as a young musician. And I really went far very quickly. I got very good and I loved it. And I loved the attention and I loved how I could communicate my love of music easily with other people. I loved music making as a communication tool so I could express myself. I was a very shy person, extremely shy child, and it was hard for me to talk with people. Words were challenging, except writing. I was good at that. But speaking openly with people was always a challenge, and I was very nervous about it. But communicating through music was easy. Don't know why. It's probably in my genes or something. But anyway, I had just the conviction that I would be famous someday. I had no doubt about it. And it was just a given. I just took it for granted. Oh, I had these idols, the great violinists of all time, like Nathan Milstein, who ended up being my teacher for 5 summers. I was very fortunate. And I just assumed one day I would be great like that and famous like that. No question about it. So then life, I got older, life happened, and new influences came into my life, and I adopted many of those influences. And one of those influences caused me to believe that I couldn't have that kind of a life and still be a good person. So I'm not going to go into details about that, but I wanted to be a good person more than I wanted to be a famous violinist. So in my mind, I needed to quit wanting to be a famous violinist. So I completely shut the door on that and really did not look back at that again and allow that desire to come back into my life until literally approximately a month ago. So that's just total exposure. I had this desire, I denied it, and now I'm finally realizing that it is possible to want fame, and money goes along with that too, by the way, and still be a really good person. So I'm still exploring this, but I find it very exciting. Our beliefs get in our way. All kinds of beliefs get in our way. Faith makes things work. Beliefs are tricky and can cause all kinds of unexpected things. I had no idea this thing was blocking me so deeply for so many years. So it's fascinating to me. So you've got to reconnect with your muse, and I would suggest you start by doing that by remembering whatever you can about why you wanted to play your instrument, why you wanted to sing, why you wanted to conduct, whatever it is that you do. Why did you want to do it? Why did you want to do it in the first place? And there are more layers to it than you probably recognize today. So keep asking, okay? Oh, hello, Michael showed up. Welcome, or Michal, I'm not quite sure how to say your name. Welcome, I'm glad you're here. And everybody else, it's great. Yes, please send me your comments as we go along, and those emojis are fun. And please share this video with your friends or tag them right now if you think there's anybody who might like to watch the rest of this along with us now live. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to share this video anywhere or send it to your colleagues, students, friends, other musicians who might find this interesting, okay? Free for all. Okay, moving on, number 4. Okay, I've got to speed up here. I start to digress and get distracted, but it's all the same thing, of course. Number 4, notice. All right, here's where honest, curious self-observation comes in. Self-observation is everything, okay? I don't know much about quantum physics. I am not a mathematical or scientific mind in the sense of numbers or facts. I am a very scientifically curious mind, however. I'm all for experimenting and seeing what happens. That's the Alexander technique. But observation, there's something in quantum physics that I've come across that fascinates me, and it's called the observer effect. You can look that up on YouTube, and there are some really amazing videos of research that they've done demonstrating the observer effect. Basically what it is they have proven, or are proving, that when you simply observe something, it changes by the fact of it being observed. And they're seeing this in electrons. We're made up of electrons, okay? So putting 2 and 2 together and the experience of, personal experience, I know that by observing things about ourselves, that in itself is already initiating change. It's quite fascinating. And you can learn from experience, trying things out and experimenting, that kind of attention to yourself, what's happening in your mind, what are you thinking, what's happening to your body right now, what do you notice about how you're sitting or how you're breathing, or I bet your breathing just changed because I mentioned it, right? You observe your breathing, it changes. Very good example. So you've got to become a scientific observer of yourself, your whole self, without meddling with the experiment. You need to not try to change or fix anything that you find out about yourself. And that is changing a habit, a very strong habit. We all see things in ourselves that we don't like or we want to change, or maybe if you don't know what your passion is, or you're burnt out, or you don't feel inspired, you criticize yourself like, I should be inspired, I should want to practice. That's what I used to do to myself. What if you just allowed yourself to be uninspired? What if you allowed yourself to not play your instrument? That's what I did. And I don't say that has to happen for very long, but in my case, it really literally happened for years. And I would go for months at a time without touching my instrument. The amazing thing, though, in my case, is that I was always interested in self-mastery, and Alexander technique became a part of that practice in 2003. So I was doing a lot of work on integrating different aspects of myself. So much so that when I picked up my violin after not touching it for literally months, I would come back to it and sound better than I'd ever sounded before. Every time it would stun me that I could play things I could never play before. Everything was easier when I came back to it. So that for me was enough proof that The way I was dealing with my burnout and lack of passion was the best way for me. And I continued, I kept at it. And then finally, I've had breakthrough after breakthrough. And it's been amazing now coming back to my original passions. Okay? So noticing, very simple. No, again, no judgment, no criticism, lots of self-compassion and understanding, which is also a practice. Okay? That leads into number 5. Patience and faith are everything. All right? You can't expect to solve the problem of burnout in an instant, but you can notice positive changes in yourself immediately if you have the right tools. And right now I'm thinking about the Alexander technique and very simple things that I teach my student that cause instant change. And actually some of my students happen to be on right now. So if anybody here would like to share a few words about how the Alexander technique has helped you get in touch with your passion for music, I think it would be really helpful for other people watching the video to hear from you. No pressure, of course. Even just a few words, or one word. You know, what is it that has woken up for you in learning Alexander technique or working with me? That would be really great if you want to throw something out there. Patience, yes, we need a lot of patience. Artistic mastery is a lifelong process, just as self-mastery is a lifelong process. They go together. You can't have artistic mastery without paying attention to self-mastery. It's just not possible for the real thing. And that it's going to take the time it takes, and everybody has their own timetable, their own process, their own experiences, their own way to bring things together and express themselves through music. So you've got to have patience with yourself and your process, and faith in yourself and in the process, and that inner teacher, that inner wisdom that I was referring to before in your heart and around you. You need to have deep faith in, another word I like to use for this is the all possible. I believe in all possibility. I really do. Blindly, maybe, but experience and life have shown me that anything is possible. So I have faith in it that's based on experience, it's not just blind faith. So one of the other things that Alexander technique can teach you and has taught me is to have faith in the flow of ease, which is not different from your inner wisdom, the way I see it. There is an energy, a life force that allows you to breathe, that allows me to speak right now and express things spontaneously. There is something that organizes your mind, your thinking with your body, that allows you to play your instrument and share from your heart and your soul to your audience. You don't know, I don't know how we do that, but something in us does know that. So that's what you can have faith in. It's the same thing that allows you to walk and talk and move and eat and live. Okay, so you've got to develop and cultivate patience. I am the first one to admit I'm so impatient. I want what I want now, right? But it just doesn't work when you're an artist and you want to create really great art. It just doesn't work. I mean, sometimes it does, and immediately you have near perfection. It does happen, and actually for me it happens more and more often because I know how to harness the flow of ease in me and apply it to my music making. So it does get easier, and great music does flow more easily with practice, but you really have to have the skills. And these are specific skills, specific tools that some people are blessed to have naturally. But even those people who grow up as prodigies and have those natural skills, all too often they end up burning out because they don't know how they do what they do. And it's rare for someone to have it when they're young and be able to cultivate that and to keep that flow alive, that passion alive, and increase their artistic mastery throughout their lives. That's very rare, but it is absolutely possible. And if it's possible for me, it is absolutely possible for all of you, each and everyone out there watching this. So if you'd like to learn more, please join my Musicians Mind Body Practice Tribe. It's my free group on Facebook. And learn the cycle, take my 5-day challenge that I gave you the link for. And also, just let me know, send me a message if this spoke to you. And if you are interested in learning more, I'll let you know about my programs. I teach almost exclusively online, so it really doesn't matter where you are in the world. And I teach all skill levels. So if you'd like some help with this personally, I would be very happy to talk with you and see how I can help you. Okay? So thank you. I'm just good. Before I leave, this was a long one today because it was very important. So I'm just going to see if there are any other comments here. Angel says, AT, which is Alexander Technique, has made me more aware of ease in my body. The AT skills Jennifer has taught me have had a huge positive impact on me as a person and a musician. I'm a better musician. Thank you, Angel. Yes, and I have to say, it is so true what she says. It's incredible watching Angel in her process. It was beautiful. I'm sure you won't mind if I share. The other day in one of our classes, I was helping Angel with her relationship with her instrument and how she actually approaches her harp, what she does with her arms and her whole self. And it was just lovely to see how things shifted and things are becoming easier and easier for her when she gets to technical passages. So it's really a pleasure to watch. And Kay says, faith in the process is crucial. It absolutely is. And Kay is one of my role models in my students for trust. I've told her that before. Trust and faith, yes. Wendy says, thank you for your candid sharing. Always fascinating to hear you. Thank you, Wendy. I'm so glad. Yeah, it's kind of tough to admit that I want to be famous. It's just, I still have this thing in me that says, that's bad. You can't want fame. You must be a bad person for wanting that. But I don't know. Kids want that sometimes, and there's something innocent about it too. So I'm just going to go with being childlike. So thanks, Wendy. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here and staying with me, and for watching the replay if you couldn't make it live. Again, please share this if you feel that any of it could be useful to any of your other Facebook friends or colleagues or students or teachers. Okay? So I wish you much joy in your search for meaning and passion in your music. And let the process guide you. Let the process be what you enjoy. All right, so happy exploring, happy practicing self-mastery and artistic mastery. And I will, actually, I will not see you here next Thursday or the week after. Unfortunately, I'm traveling and it will be impossible. So I will see you next time, whenever that is, and I will let you know beforehand. Okay, lots of love always. Bye.